Today we're going to learn about the area formula. In elementary school, you learned about finding the area of a rectangle by multiplying the length and the width. And so you would have identified this as the length and then the horizontal as the width. But in middle school, we're going to talk about the height and the base. So let's look at each figure and we're going to identify the height and the base. So for this lesson, you're going to need your formula chart, and it looks like this. This formula chart looks just like the one you'll have on STAR, and it'll say area, and then it'll give you the formula and the shapes, the formula for each shape. So let's start with identifying the base and the height. You're going to need your two highlighters so that we can make a legend or a key. So I'm going to use, let's say, red as my base. So I'm going to select red as my base, or this is supposed to be red. Okay. This red color is my base, so I'm going to write this is my base, and then I'm going to choose, and now I'm going to choose a highlighter color to identify my height, and I'm going to do that in blue. So you should make that key on top of your paper, and that's going to be my height. So first thing you need to know about your base is always a horizontal line on your shape. So let's start with the rectangle or the parallelogram. So the rectangle has two horizontal bases. So let me get my colors. And so we said horizontal is always the base. So there's one base and there's two bases. So you should highlight this on your chart as well. And in the square, we have one base and we have two bases. Again, it's the horizontal line on a shape. And on our parallelogram, we have one and we have two. There's our two bases. So now I'm going to switch colors because we're going to talk about our height. And our height is always perpendicular to the base. Now remember, when you go to the doctor and they check your height, they always want you to stand up, not leaning or standing against a wall. So the height is always standing straight up, and it's perpendicular. It's a vertical line to the base. So in our rectangle, this is our this is our height. So, and this is our height. So it's a vertical line, and it makes a 90-degree angle with your base. In our square, we have one, two, again, two heights. And so in the parallelogram, most kids want to highlight this diagonal line as the height. But remember what we said that the height has to be perpendicular and you can't be leaning. So that is not your height. Your height is the vertical line right here from the top of the base to the bottom of the base. And sometimes they can even write it out here outside of the shape, as long as you know it's standing up and vertical, and it's 90 degree to the one base and 90 degree to the other. So let's continue with finding the base and the height on a trapezoid, which is another four-sided figure. So what you have is, let's look at the base. So the base on this one, again, is a horizontal line. So let's find your horizontal line. Use the right color. In my case, it's red, and in your case, it might be pink or it might be yellow. You decide. So here's my base, and there's another base. Notice in the trapezoid, one base is shorter than the other. And then we have a different trapezoid here. It's the same. It's still a trapezoid. It has one set of parallel lines, and so we have one base and another base. Okay, and then let's go ahead and highlight which one is the height. Okay, hope you remember that the height again is a vertical line from the one base to the other, and it makes a square, it makes an angle, a right angle. Okay, and so here's another height. So notice what we said again. Most kids will make the mistake and think that the diagonal line is the height, okay, but it is not. So do not highlight that. So now let's move to the triangle. Which one is the base? If you said it was the horizontal line, then you are correct. So the base is the horizontal line here, and a horizontal line here. And where's the height? Let's highlight that. It should be the vertical line from the top of the triangle to the base. And again, it should be a vertical line, and it should be perpendicular to the base. Makes a right angle. And there you have it. So now let's take a look at the formula. The formula, you remember in elementary school, is length times width, but we just said that the formula here is area equals base times height. So it's going to be base times the height. So for every problem that you do, you should label base and height. So this is base and height, base and height. This is the base, and this is the height. Okay, so it's base, and because it's one letter right up against another, it means it's multiplication. In the trapezoid, we have 1/2. It's going to be base 1 plus base 2, because one base is not the same as the other. And so you can have to add the two bases together and take the average, and you're going to divide by 2, and then you're going to multiply by the height. Okay? So now let's look at some problems and see if we can identify what shape it is and what formula we should use, and then see if we can identify the base and the height. Okay, so this problem says a local meteorologist alerted people to a thunderstorm warning for the region shown on the map. What is the area of the region that is under a thunderstorm warning? So you should draw this shape on your paper somewhere on the back and see if you can label the base and the height and write the formula. So pause the video and see if you can do that for yourself. And when you're ready, check back and see if you got it correct. Okay, so if you said that this shape was a parallelogram, you're correct. And if you identified the horizontal line here as the base, you were correct. Then our height is this vertical line right here. Okay? And then you should label that base and label the other line height. And let's see what you chose as your formula. Since this is a parallelogram, it's the same as a rectangle, and it would be A is equal to base times height. And to get the formula down, you should write down, you should replace the letters with the numbers, or substitute it. So it would be A is equal to the base, which is 21 3/4, times 15 1/4. And that would be the correct way to write the formula. Now let's look at another problem, except this time it has no pictures, so you have to draw your own. It says the base of a statue is in the shape of a trapezoid. The bases of the statue are 7.5 feet and 4.75 feet. Its height is 6 feet. What is the area of the statue? So let's figure out how do you draw that shape. So a trapezoid, okay, and you should write this down on your paper. A trapezoid can be this kind of a trapezoid or this kind of a trapezoid. This one is called the isosceles one because its two sides are the same, and this one is called the right. This is the right trapezoid because this one has a right angle. Okay? And either if you can draw either one, right? Or this one's isosceles. And so the base is going to be, again, the horizontal line, and that one. And the height is going to be a vertical line, but since they didn't draw one for us, we'll have to draw one ourselves, and that would be this one. Okay? And we will label that this is the base, and this is the base, and this is the height. Okay? And in our formula, it would be A equals 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. And it doesn't matter whether we call the top base base 1 or the bottom base 2, but since it's we have a 7.5 and a 4.75, so base 1 is going to be the shorter one, which is 4.75, and base 2 is going to be 7.5. So I would write my formula, my equation, as A equals 1/2 times base 1, we said is the shorter one, so it's going to be 4.75 plus 7.5 times the height, which is 6. Okay? So in another video or in class, we will solve this problem, but right now we just need to identify the shape and identify the formula and then write the equation. So please be sure that you have these notes on your sheet.